Hey, Coach, nine games in now, 7-2 record. Just with this weekend off, like, is it a nice chance to kind of assess where you guys are and what's your impression now, 9 games in, of your team?
For sure, this first 9 games went kind of quick. We had that giant lump of them together in all home in February, and it was nice to get that many under our belt early. And then we just had 3 on the road on spring break, and spring break's always a challenge. But I was really proud late last week of how our team stepped up on the road, and I think that shows some toughness that we're going to need as we come out of this bye week into this next weekend in Ohio against the top teams in the GMAC. And I think it's shown Minnie has consistently been great in every game so far, and she's really been able to bring people up with her. Our defense has gotten better and better. We've started holding people to less and less goals, which has been really impressive. In particular, our game against Missouri Western on Friday, who had just played Grand Valley on the previous Sunday, and like it had been a very tough game for Grand Valley, and then we come out and yes, we allowed some goals late, but up until the fourth quarter we'd only allowed 4 goals, and we had kind of had our way with them. It just had been an excellent goalie game for them, but I think that was really important for our team to see that what we're doing on both sides of the ball is working. If they really believe and they do it with toughness and at the pace that we need them to, they can. The thing about spring break that's always hard is where we are, it's always going to take a really long time to get down there. So our first game being the hardest game was definitely poor scheduling on my part. I think if we play Rockhurst on the Wednesday, we probably come out of that with a different end than a 1-point loss, because we just ran out of gas in the fourth quarter. We just couldn't score. We just couldn't run. I hadn't really seen anything like it. I thought eventually we'd just be able to kind of tough it out, and we couldn't. We hit a wall, and we couldn't overcome the wall. But next year, looking at travel, maybe I have us leave a day earlier, or play a different type of team on that first day. But it's all important learning stuff. And overall, you can't be too bitter with a 2-1 road trip where you're only losing by 1 point in the first game. But it's the little things.
When you're in a battle like that, you just can't get it done late in the game, but to turn around and finish off the road trip with 2 wins, what'd you like about the response on Wednesday?
On Wednesday, we also started slow, so I was a little frustrated with that. I called a timeout at the 3 minutes into the quarter, and I kind of got into them a little bit, and out of that we went on a 15-0 run. And I think that we really needed that kind of shock back to reality of teams aren't going to just give you a win, even though they're first-year programs, or you theoretically should be more talented based on stats or where people are recruited from. You have to show up and try every time, and you have to assert that you are a better team through athletic tough plays, and they did that right after that, which was great, because I knew it was going to be so important for Friday that we had that mindset right away. I can't call a timeout 3 minutes in on Friday. That's already too late. So I'm glad that we were able to kind of pull that around on Wednesday. And then it really helped for Friday, because obviously a long road trip, you need to set the pace in a certain way and raise expectations in a certain way, because we weren't really going to get a lot out of a practice on Thursday after 2 games. So we needed to fix it in the game Wednesday, and we were able to do that, which was really cool. My voice still hasn't come all the way back from last week, but it's probably good that we have a bye week for that.
Yeah. When you have an attacker like Minnie, and you're obviously very consistent with goal scoring and everything else, what have you seen from your other attackers early on, trying to balance the weight that she carries, being such a prolific player?
For sure. The best part about Minnie is that she's also our leader in assists. And so as teams scout for her and they either start to try to face guard or they start to slide early, she's so good at seeing through defenses that it's really opening up some options for our players that are really good off ball, or that aren't going to be slid. People aren't going to play as much to when they have the ball if you play the Minnie next to them. So if you put Minnie next to our second best player, who's right now statistically Josie, our freshman, Josie's more likely to be able to get an open lane because people aren't going to slide from Minnie, or they're going to slide from an uncomfortable place instead of sliding from Minnie, and then you're going to open up some sort of significant back cut. So what we've been able to see is kind of wherever is opposite ball of Minnie is going to be more open, and so as long as like we can have space and move the ball well, Minnie is creating plays by just being threatening,
Yeah.
and that's been really cool to see. And Caitlin and Josie, who are two really quick kids that are good at like catching and just like darting behind people, they're really able to capitalize on that, and it's been really neat to watch. And that's something Caitlin's been used to doing with Minnie for all 4 of her years, so it's cool to see that continue. And it does help that this year we have some freshmen in our transfer that are a different level of lacrosse IQ than we've had before, so they can also kind of watch the defense as they react to Minnie or to anyone and kind of move into an open space in a way that we haven't been able to do before. So yeah, it's been cool to watch those people work with Minnie. We're trying to give Minnie the best options her 5th year for success, so I'm glad we've been able to do that.
Yeah, and last thing with the bye week, what's the plan for, going into these last 2 non-conference games? Yeah, obviously get a little healthy, but what are some of the things you guys are trying to work on here with the break?
Yeah, for sure. We've had some spacing issues on offense in a couple different games. We were able to fix it for that Friday game, but it's something if you don't just like keep reiterating, they just keep sinking in and in and in, and then you're never going to actually see any openings. So on offense, like a huge thing is just like spacing and what can we put in that creates obnoxious spacing so that when we're actually doing it live, like they sink into like actual useful spacing. So we're like over spacing this week for them. And then on defense, we're going to play a team in Walsh that like is one of the highest assist teams in the country, and they play really slow and they wait for you to like over gap or over slide, and they're going to just feed right over the top of you from low. So we need to really kind of not change the way we play defense, because the way we play defense is kind of an adjustment from playing Walsh last year, but really reiterate that like our 1v1 defense needs to be great, because if you're sliding, like they're looking for that. So just kind of reinforcing the thought process of our defenders so they feel confident in their 1v1s and not having to send those slides early, so we're not like creating openings for kids in the middle where they're definitely going to be hit.